Hi, Take the Leap listeners. Thanks for putting Ashlan and I in your ears again today. Before we jump into this episode, we wanted to let you know that we've created a fun freebie just for you. If you've been thinking about launching your side gig or small business, we've got a free video training just for that called 9 Steps to Launch Your Business. You can sign up for that video now at www.taketheleap-today.com/webinar to get instant access. You'll also receive 2 free modules from our signature Take the Leap course. Thanks, and now back to the episode.
Take the Leap is the podcast where we get real about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship and life. Sure, some folks make running a business look like a walk in the park, but let's be honest, it's more like a wild ride through a theme park with a lot of unexpected twists and turns.
Join us, your co-hosts, Ashlan
and Tory,
as we spill the beans on our own real-life experiences and shine a spotlight on some amazing guests. From the highs of success stories to the lows of epic failures. And hey, we'll even throw in some cringe-worthy, laugh-out-loud, embarrassing moments for good measure.
So buckle up and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for a dose of raw, unfiltered truth about what it's really like to chase your dreams and build a business.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the startup world, we've got something for everyone. Even if it's just to make you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't do what they did.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Take the Leap podcast. We are so excited to have returning guests, Danielle and Samantha Glassman. Danielle and Samantha are designers and content creators who join forces to launch Aperitif Collective, a creative design agency built on shared passion for design and creativity. Trusted by industry leaders and cult favorite brands, they craft bold, thoughtful visuals that capture what makes each business unforgettable, with a specialty in food and hospitality. We are so excited to have you both back on the podcast. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you. And we're really excited to chat with you today because last time you were on, you had just launched your business. And I know that you just celebrated a year in business. So we're really excited to catch up with you two and see how things are going. So I guess let's just kick this off with how is business and what is different today than a year ago?
Yeah, I feel like when we first started, we honestly didn't know as much as what we were doing, I feel like. And now like we have all like the systems down pat, which is really good. And obviously we've gotten a lot more client work, and client experience is another thing. Like you think like you know all the potential people you could run into, but you just keep like learning along the way, which we definitely have gone through like on this journey, just like learning how to better sell ourselves like on client calls. At the beginning, like we didn't really know how to like tell someone like why they need branding or why they want to work with us. And now it's a lot of, obviously you have to learn to know how to speak on these calls, but I feel like both of us have gotten so much more confident in our skills and telling people like why work with us in a way that feels natural, not forced, because it's just what we've like learned through the
That's such a balancing act too. Like I feel like I'm still learning that as well. I don't want to be like aggressive, like this is what you need. But also, yeah, like I feel like that's just like a constant thing you learn as you go, like is how to get better. And I've always found like the ones that I fail at or like don't get, I learn the most from that, and then I just kind of keep getting better each time.
Yeah, we also learned too, like I used to get really nervous when like a potential client would book a call. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to happen. Like we have to make sure we get this. And then we learned over time that like what we can do to limit having like clients that aren't a good fit is to kind of like put in when they try to book a call, like what's your budget? And then if it doesn't align with us, we just don't go on the call. Then we're not like wasting our time essentially. And like we know that the people we're going on calls with are actually interested and they align with us. Then we go from there, and it's more about like seeing who's a fit versus oh my God, we really need this client. We need them to work with us. Like in the beginning, it's more about just getting the experience and less about making sure that it's a project you actually want to do. So we've learned how to, get rid of all that fluff and the people that might not be good fits for us and just not even spend our time worrying about that and focusing on the projects we want to work on. So.
That's
That's such a good
definitely,
point.
that's great. And that's definitely something I've noticed in my business too, as time has gone on, and you kind of like keep the main retainer clients, right? So you can be more choosy about who you bring in after that. And that's great that you put that budget piece. I feel like I'm in the process right now of like redesigning and rewording some of the parts of my website. And traditionally I just kind of put like budget ranges, but I feel like based on where we are like economically and as a country, I feel like people, they just need to know what shit costs now, like
Yeah.
so that they can make it like an informed decision, and so it doesn't waste your time, but it also doesn't like waste their time, and then you don't feel bad that you like undervalued yourself and you're like, now I got to work with this person and they're not gonna
Yeah,
pay me as much as what I want to. So it's great that you guys were able to learn that in the first year. I think that's like I'm in year 4 going towards year 5, and that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, you all figured that out quickly. Because too, like I've had clients that like I knew from the beginning, I'm like, this isn't a good fit, or I'm way under charging just to get them as a client. And like not only did that just like not feel good and that didn't align, but like those clients were the most difficult to work with.
Yeah.
Also, they were the most time consuming, like, and or even not just that, it's just like they weren't quite sure what they wanted, so like we just kept going back and forth and like would start over again, and I just felt like I was putting so much work into that. And yeah, that's not to say you can't as a client, you might not necessarily know, like it's okay if you don't know everything that you want right off the bat, but like yeah, it just there was some sort of an alignment there of like, okay, they don't have the budget, they don't know what they want, I'm probably not the best person. They have to have like a starting point, and that's not me. So, yeah, I'm glad you guys figured that out quickly. Do you, when you take on new clients, you talked a little bit about like putting procedures in place. Like, do you have like questionnaires that you send out, or like what does your process look like? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we actually have a branding questionnaire when we do branding projects, and we found that like makes the process just a lot more efficient because, like you said, there are people who have no idea what they want unless you show them, especially if they're not like visual people, maybe, or they don't really understand how they have this idea in mind or like a Pinterest board, like how it's going to come to life. So with the branding questionnaire, like we'll ask questions, like what adjectives would describe your brand, or what's your target audience, or what's some example, like inspiration. And some people know exactly, but other people still don't know. But I find that through that exercise, it's like they learn more about what they want, and then it helps us.
Yeah,
It's a big help. Yeah, and then
that's great.
it's just less work for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And they just take like 30 minutes to fill it out and just brainstorm. We have worked with clients where they're like communicating with someone else where it's like 2 or 3 people, and that makes it a little difficult for them to be aligned on a vision in the first place. So just having the questionnaire off the bat, like, okay, can all of you take a look at this? Let's make sure you go over this together and come back to us with like unified vision, because then we're just getting conflicting opinions, and that's kind of difficult to work with.
Absolutely. That makes sense. I'm going to pause us for just a second. Your voice cut out a little bit at the end there. I don't know if it's just on me or not, but maybe like, yeah, maybe if we, I don't know, Ashlan, if you can see like their audio, but maybe if they move the computer a little closer.
Maybe. I also can up your audio gain in
Okay.
production too, because I've done that before. So yeah.
I figured I'd just mention it while we're only a few minutes in.
Yeah.
Before, yeah.
Like, is the audio good?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Maybe it was just, yeah, the end of the sentence or something. I don't know.
Awesome.
Well, going into kind of my next question, I kind of want to know, like, what is the biggest surprise or lesson that you've learned so far? And you can, if you each have a different answer, that's cool too.
I think setting boundaries, like strict boundaries, because we had a client experience where we were kind of giving up our boundaries and working the way the client was working, like texting and calling versus like formally setting up meetings and formal emails. Just it was too casual, and that just kind of spiraled out of control. We don't have to, I don't know if we'll get into details, but it was just not a
Yeah.
good experience. So I yeah, that's the biggest lesson is just if you have processes that are like super like professional, formal, like ways of doing things, contracts, all of that, like that's the only way we can protect ourselves. And people might not work that way, but we should just work how we think is best and to not be taken advantage of. And that's the way to not be taken advantage of is to be super professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Absolutely.
why I love having a Google Voice phone number for my business.
That's actually a really good idea.
Wait, what's that?
You can basically get like from Google a phone number that's like I can get calls. It's like an app on my phone, so I can get calls through it, but it's separate than my like phone number. Y'all should set one up for your business because both of you could get it.
Wait.
On your phone.
Yeah, that's like a
really good
business,
idea.
kind of like a business phone number.
It's a business phone number. Yeah, I think it's only
And
like
then you can turn it down. You can turn it off during certain
yeah,
hours.
you can put do not disturb on. Yeah. Yeah. So like I put it on D&D like when I'm not in office. So yeah.
Sometimes email is just too much. Like if something needs to be sent quickly, that's why we thought, oh, texting is fine. But then when it turns into a situation where
They're calling you
they're
because they have your
calling, you
personal
send them an
number.
email
Yeah.
about something, and instead of emailing back revisions, they
They
just
call
call
you.
you out of nowhere, and it's like, I'm not on call. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's how they want to work, but we realize like this is our business. Oh no,
just say that again.
yeah,
Well, I have to commend you because I was still dealing with that. Like last year, I had a client that was a nightmare with that. And that was like year 4 in business. And I was still like learning how to put boundaries up with that. So, good job. Keep that up.
Yeah, we actually have
Because, clients, we don't work for them. That's at the end of the day, that's the thing. We don't work for them. We work for ourselves.
exactly. There's like the line between that's not the person employing you. Like we're doing something for them, yes, but like it's our business, so we should follow the procedures and that we put in place and the boundaries that we have.
And I wanted to mention too, actually, there was a client we were just about to work with, and then she had said something like, "Oh, like she was about to sign the contract and everything, and then she said something like, "Oh, like would you be able to answer messages like over text if I have revisions? Like that's how I prefer to communicate." And I'm just like, "That's not how we prefer to communicate. So it's just not a fit." Sorry.
Yeah.
She didn't mention that until like we spent the time to do the proposal and the contract. We sent an invoice and everything, and then she says that. And it was just frustrating.
Like, how does that come up?
We don't want to work with someone like that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I
That's a good
actually oh go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say I was I put it in my my proposal and my contract of like this is how I communicate. And like, if you send me an email, I'll respond within 24 hours during the business week, and calls and texts are like by emergency only kind of a situation.
Yeah.
Mine says that too. I have like this steps. Like if you
Oh, I
can't
think I
reach me by
copied yours.
email, that might be what it is. It's like if you can't reach me by email, then you can text or call me. Then, if it's like not urgent, then we just set up a meeting or something like that. But yeah, it makes it like really clear. Another thing that I've had to send to people before too is like, this is the difference between a contractor and an employee. If you want that, that is an employee. This is how contractors operate. Like you can't tell me where to be and at what time, and when stuff is happening. Like, yeah. So, but yeah, good job on boundaries. It's a skill I feel like women sometimes forget because we have a tendency to be more people pleasing and like, obliging to people. But they would never, if a man just like completely blew off a text or ignored anything, they wouldn't think anything of it. Like, so that's always what I like lean back on. So
We work with mostly women too. So
Yeah.
I noticed that women, some, like not all women, but like they might not have boundaries in their own business. So they think,
Yeah.
like late
Emails.
Right.
we have to make sure we're assertive, not aggressive, assertive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Helps. ChatGPT will reword things to be more assertive in the right way.
Oh, I've done that too. You've gotta embrace your inner mediocre man, you know?
it's true. It's very true.
I love that. I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite or worst part about being a business owner right now so far?
Favorite part, like what you said, not having anyone tell me where to be at a certain time, and being able to set those boundaries. It's very empowering, I feel like. And the hardest part is, I would say, like the inconsistency.
Mm.
The client projects, like we could be working on a branding project that we don't like as much versus another one. Like it's very, if you're doing project based, you don't really know. We obviously are choosy with who we work with. Like I'm not going to take on a project I don't like, but like the inconsistency in the types of people that we work with, like you don't really know how the client is going to give you feedback and how they're going to communicate. And so it's like navigating that, I guess. And when you're at a workplace, like everyone sort of acts the same in a way. Like there's that like cordialness that's just unspoken. Like people are polite and respectful and everything, because that's just like the workplace. When you're working with clients as a business owner, a lot of the times they're like casual, they might not be as professional. So it's just like navigating the inconsistencies of different personality types and the type of people to work with has definitely been a challenge. It's only, I feel like, gotten me better with my interpersonal skills and being like a people pleaser, but obviously asserting yourself. Like there's a balance, with
That's
that.
great.
No, I agree. It's for my favorite thing too is just being able to do whatever, whenever, and to a certain extent. But just when I was in my previous jobs, like having meetings put on my calendar at a certain time. Now for like contracting, and they sometimes, because we work for big food brands where we're like freelance contractors, sometimes they'll put a meeting on our calendar knowing that we're contractors. They'll just do that, and we're like, oh, that doesn't work for us. And they're like, okay, great, what works for you? And we can set that. Versus if we were employees, they would just put a meeting on the calendar and think nothing of it.
And you just be expected. Yeah.
Be like, oh, I'm just gonna be off for Friday, like whatever. We can tell them like 2 days before. Like we don't need to be like taking time off, like putting in a PTO request. So I think that's my favorite part about like working for myself. I guess I'll just say for my least favorite part, because we're only a year in business, it's more like inconsistent sometimes with like the amount of work we have. Like we haven't had the same amount of hours of work per day, and it's like sometimes hard to schedule certain things because it could be like inconsistent, and you might not know, like, oh, I might start this project into, like, you don't know when it's coming. You can't really plan for things as much. So I would say that's a negative, is not being able to plan for things. But we have, taken off and went on trips and still plan for that just by like working more before going away.
Yeah.
Like there were times we went on a trip to Disney, and I swear we took a call on the trip because we were like, we want this client. We took a call for like 15 minutes. I was like answering a message from another client. We got both of those clients. And if we weren't like on, like you kind of have to be like on if you're new in business. I'm not gonna not check my email.
Yeah.
So I guess
Right.
that's a negative for now, is like not being able to turn off work.
Yeah.
Like, at all. Like I can go and do things, but I still want to check my email every day.
Yeah, you never know.
So hopefully that changes, but it's fine.
One
Yeah.
thing that maybe is some advice. I mean, this is the first time I've done it in my entire 4 years of business. We had friends who came into town to visit, so I put an out of office message on my email, and I was just like, "Hey, I'm taking a vacation because we have friends visiting. Like, if this is truly urgent, leave a voicemail on like," and I put my business, like my Google Voice number, which was automatically going to go to voicemail because I turned it on Do Not Disturb. But I was just like, hey, if you really need to get something out, then you can leave a voicemail. But nobody did it. Everybody like actually got really kind messages from a few clients that were like, oh my god, we're so glad you're taking a vacation, you work so hard for us. And one of them I had like seen, we were like at the pool cabana and we had Wi-Fi there, and so I was like, oh hey, I can get to that. And she was like, no, Ashlan, be on your vacation. And I was like, okay, thank you. But the other like main point of contact I had there was like also on vacation, so she neither backup was available, and they were like, nope, we can figure it out when you're back next week, which was like very, very nice. But I think sometimes when you set those boundaries, the people who are in your corner will really respect them and be like, it is so good that you did that. So
Yeah. We actually,
We're all human.
the potential client, we told them, oh, we can't go on like we want to we want to take this call, like we don't want to push it till next week, but we can't go on video. Like, is audio okay? We're traveling. Like, we wanted to be up front, and they were like, oh my god, thank you so much for doing this while traveling. That's amazing. Like, people respect it. But I'm sure if we said we were traveling and we couldn't, they'd obviously understand too. Just we knew it wouldn't be a big deal. Like, it was only 15 minutes. So
yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like over the years I have gotten better at it, but it's definitely been like mental gymnastics of like, don't check your email, don't check your email, it's not urgent,
it's like an
and
addiction.
so it is. One thing I've recently started doing is like, I'm not great at taking full vacations yet, but I am good at a certain time in the day, just like, okay, no more email, no more phone, like putting it away and just hanging out with family. I've gotten into reading again, so that's helped because I'm like, instead of checking my phone and scrolling, which then leads to emails and like ideas and like stuff like that, then I'm just reading, and then my brain can kind of take a little bit of a break. So that's been helpful for me, just putting it away at a certain point in the day. But I'm still not great at not checking on vacation. I still working on that.
I know. Yeah, I think like the scheduled time, like I would go up to the pool with my Kindle, and I'm not on my phone. I mean, it is like screen time because it's a Kindle, but I'm not like on my phone. So I know that like I'm not gonna have the instinct to check because I just like wouldn't even take it out, or I just wouldn't have it with me, and it's just like a chance to just reset and sort of forget about it for a little bit. It's also
I definitely don't count the Kindle as screen time. I'm like,
it's not like it's but it's a book.
It's a book.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna derail for a second and ask what you like to read.
Actually,
what books are you reading?
I feel like I'm into like, I read Verity by Colleen Hoover, and now I'm like down this whole like thriller thing, and I'm reading I read The Housemaid, and now I'm reading the sequel.
Now I'm reading the sequel because I swear, she told me to read The Housemaid. I finished it in 2 days.
It was
It was only like
my list.
hours of reading. It was not that long. Yeah.
I think I finished Verity in like a day too.
Yeah, it was less than 24 hours.
Yeah. A friend gave it to me. She's just like, I think you should read this. So then she's like, you don't need to give it back to me. Give it to somebody else who's next. So I think I gave it to my mom. I was like, here, have it. Is The Housemaid a sequel to that then?
Oh no,
it's a totally different one.
And I was like, totally. What are books that I would like if I like Verity? And
nice.
Becoming a movie.
And I started reading it, and then I find out it's going to be a movie at the end of this year, and that makes me happy.
Nice.
I never used to be the person that would have read the books that were movies. Like maybe when I was younger, like Twilight, like Divergent. I think I read The Fault in Our Stars. I don't remember, but like now that I'm an adult and I have more time, like I think reading books that are going to become movies, it's just so exciting to me to think about. I mean, it might ruin the movie for me, but we'll see.
Sometimes, yeah. I feel like, I don't know, like, I feel like, because when I was a kid, like, I read all those books too, and like Harry Potter. I remember like just being up till like 2 a.m. reading when I was a teenager. And I haven't loved reading like that until recently. And well, Ashlan knows because you have a lot of my books right now,
Yep.
and I'm in a book club that we call the Feral Book Club because we read a lot of unhinged things. Um, and Ashlan is an honorary member of that. So
What are you reading?
yeah. Well,
Did you do the VeggieTale smut yet? Yeah, was it good?
Like, is this related to your
listen, it's called Pounded by Produce.
No, that reminds me of the Sausage Party, that movie.
I have not seen that, but this, I don't know how to explain this book. It's like a fever dream. It's so insane. I don't recommend, honestly. I mean, if you're looking for something that's like just so unhinged and you just need a break from reality, I guess go down that rabbit hole. I don't know how to describe to you what this book was about. But if you ever saw VeggieTales when you were younger, like I did, I grew up in like a church area, so like we had it on all the time. It's like basically these two priests are named after Bob the tomato, and so it was like Father Robert and Father, what was the other one? Laurent. Oh yeah, for Larry the cucumber. And then yeah, a girl comes to work at the what is it called, the convent, and then yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. They turn into veg. It's wild. It's wild. I don't recommend. But I don't, for the record, I don't like exclusively just read weird stuff like that. But like that, like because you asked what I was reading, that's what I literally just read. So
it's free on Kindle. It's free on Kindle Unlimited if you would like to. If you'd like to try it.
we read a lot of fantasy series and like romantasy and some like contemporary like romance stuff too, and some thrillers and stuff like that. So probably like honestly, like I read Verity, that was fun. And The Housemaid has been on my list for a while now, so I'll probably
you can read it. So
yeah.
So I just started reading like this year, I guess, again, after just reading self-help books and like psychology for years. And then I'm like, I'm not going to read fiction. Like, I don't want to waste my time. And then I'm realizing like this is sometimes better than TV, you know?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Especially good writers. Yeah.
Yeah. Which VeggieTale smut is not that. But one thing that we've been talking about a lot is that I think reading for fun over reading for like business or like self-help or whatever, like first of all, a lot of those books are written by the same types of people, like lots of bro-y people or just like people following like that hustle culture, which I don't relate to. And then also just like is not very helpful. But then also like when you put this pressure on yourself, like I have to read to learn something, then like it becomes not fun. And I think that's why I just didn't read for so many years there, because it just, it wasn't fun. And now like I feel like I'm more creative because I'm reading so much more, and it's like giving me ideas, even if it has nothing to do with business, because it usually doesn't. I just feel like it's it's helped me mentally, if nothing else.
I feel like there's a science behind that, because like you're imagining these scenes, like you're creating stuff in your head. So in a way, like while you're reading, you're being creative because you're having to like visualize it. Although I know some people can't see things in their head. Do you know about that?
Yeah.
I was that while I was reading the other day. I'm like, how do people read? They just probably don't read. They just see words. They don't
see words. Yeah.
They can't world build in their head. Yeah. The way that I know a book is really good is if I end up having like a dream where I'm in a part of the book. Like I'm not done with it yet, but I've been reading. It's called The Hollow Places, and basically it's like a thriller novel by T. Kingfisher that this woman gets divorced, goes back and lives with her uncle who has this museum that has like weird shit in it, like a stuffed otter and like, you know, like weird taxidermy and like, you know, one of those like weird sideshow type museums in a small town. Well, she thought a tourist like opened a hole in the wall, and so she like goes and looks in it and gets like stuck in there, and it's like terror thriller Narnia instead of like Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah, so they got out of the hole, but now you know her and the other person who went in, like they're like that's all I can think about is that it's still there, even though we like walled up the wall. So I don't know how it's gonna end, but I did have a dream that I was like stuck in said place, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is clearly
Don't read it before bed."
Yeah, exactly. That is the one bad thing about reading before bed is that things that happen like that.
Oh my gosh!
But anyways, obviously Tori and I can talk about reading all day because
I feel like I definitely went on a tangent there.
I can actually relate because I used to never read. I used to get like books that were nonfiction, and then some were good, and then some I would put down and then not come back to for months. And then because I didn't finish that book, I wouldn't start another one, but then I would just never finish the books, and then I would just never read. Then I got
like a dangerous spiral. Well, going back to business stuff, how has the way that you work or what you've offered evolved since you started a year ago? I know you dug into a little bit of it, like with systems and processes, but anything else that has changed, offer stack wise, or even technology wise, marketing wise for your business?
I feel like when we first started, we were like, we're only going to work with food and beverage brands because we did have a coach and she told us like it's best to niche, which makes sense because like when you're starting out, like you want to, you know, be an expert in the field, and we're learning that although we do love like food and beverage hospitality, we don't want to limit ourselves to different projects, as some of my favorite projects have not even been in that niche. So I guess like our messaging as well, we actually just updated our website with new messaging.
We saw that.
Yeah, to be like not as, you know, like food and beverage heavy, but saying that we do work with these people, but we're open to working with other people because people have come to us and been like, oh, like I want to do branding, but like, do you only work with restaurants? Do you only work with food and beverage?
Yeah, a lot of times.
And we don't want to like cut people out because when you're first starting, I think you have to almost find your niche, like let people come to you rather than already boxing yourself is what I've learned. And I think it's just,
I think that's true.
Over time, I don't want to just have a business that works with one industry. Like I really don't picture myself doing that. Like we just want to work with like-minded, passionate people who believe in our vision and want to work with us because they know that we can like understand their vision and bring it to life versus a specific type of business. You know, it's just more about like the client itself, because we might have a client at a restaurant that's just not the best client, like not communicative. We're not just going to work with that person because they're in the niche. Like it's important that we work with people that we like working with versus just doing it for the project to like get the experience in the niche. So that's something we changed, and the messaging too, because the messaging before was just too much focus on food. So we switched that up. We set up a bit. Yeah, we also have noticed though, as people do, sometimes we go on discovery calls and then they'll say like, oh, we went with someone who has experience in this industry. When I just feel like I get that people do that because they might be worried that just choosing any designer who's done a bunch of projects like wouldn't align. But then we realize like, okay, like maybe that person like doesn't align with us, you know, because they want to be with someone in a specific industry rather than seeing our work and showing that it speaks to them for ourselves, you know. But it's hard to know, obviously. Like they don't know that we would probably be great to work with because they haven't worked with us, so they don't have that background. Yeah, they're just trusting you. It's kind of crazy. It's a stranger on the internet. It's trusting you. It's wild to think of it from the opposite perspective. Like if I were hiring a designer for a business that I was starting, how I would think about it. And just coming from that perspective, helps because I'm like, oh, if I were to go to my website, if I wanted to do, say, like a brand in like the health and wellness niche, like if I went to our website, would that be like a top contender that I wanted to work with versus someone else that might have that specific experience? Probably not, you know? So like that's why we want to switch up our messaging so we can appeal to more people.
Well, I like it. And I liked what you put on your website. I think it looks really nice. Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it. It's important to like constantly be evolving and rebranding yourself, especially it's there. So
Seeing what works.
we have time to like. It's always a learning experience, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and adjusting as you go.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you're looking at this like year over year. I was just telling somebody the other day, like I'm completely redesigning, rewording my website, but like the last time I like did the full overall update was like in 2022, which I count as like when I really, really went full time in my business because I wasn't working anywhere else at the time. So it's like a long time to like have to go back and like make changes and edits. So it's great that you're kind of doing it as you go along instead of being like, okay, this is now an insurmountable thing and it needs to change because it can't sit in the legacy environment anymore. But thinking about your branding and stuff like that, what is a big branding mistake that you often see businesses making that you work with?
I think I would say like inconsistencies, like their logo on their website is different than their logo in their social media, or like just the colors aren't working. Like I've given brand guides to clients, and like sometimes they don't even use the brand like do, and they just don't have the time, or they're not like they don't have the time, and they're not thinking about it, and they didn't hire like a in-house designer. So it can be frustrating at times. That's with like smaller businesses. If it's a larger business, they definitely have the time and the money to like hire someone to help them consistently. But if it's a smaller business and we're just doing branding, like we can't count on the fact that they're gonna make the branding look great. Like if social posts with it, they might actually not. So it's just you can't control everything unless they were to like hire us to work with us to make the social templates or to do the website. Then it's they want to do it themselves. Like it might not look as good. It's kind of frustrating because it just the branding is so good and it doesn't look as good everywhere else. Like it's not working the way it should be working.
Well, that's a really good point. Like a good tip for small businesses is that, like you don't necessarily have to have the budget of large businesses, but you do have to figure out how to make your branding consistent. And so whether that's hiring somebody and like trusting them once they give you the like brand templates and designs and then like using those moving forward, or if it's hiring somebody in-house to like make sure that it's that way on a consistent basis, like it's what's going to set you apart, from your competition is like making sure that like all of your stuff looks consistent and it looks like it's coming from the same company, and like people can't trust you if what you're saying over here is completely different from what you're saying over here, like they don't know what to think, And so, it's just a good reminder for small businesses. Like, it is really important. Doesn't matter how small you are.
And just having a logo is just not enough. We've had clients come to us and they're like, actually, our budget's really low. Like, can you actually just do a couple logos for us? Like, we're not doing that because if we just give you the logo to just slap on wherever you want to put it, that's it. It's just a logo. It's not branding.
Yeah.
It's not branding at all. It's literally just a logo. And if you want to show up anywhere else, like online or physically, you need more than that. Like you need guidance, otherwise it's not going to look good. I mean, if you don't care, then that's not the people we want to work with, Yeah, it's tricky because like these people aren't designers. Like for us, it's just like instinct. Like we've learned that like through the projects we've done or like education we've had and just our experience. But those people have no idea. Like this is like such new territory for them. So I get it that they don't understand. but I wish they just like knew how important it was.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely found there's like an education piece to everything I offer with a lot of smaller clients and nonprofits, like with marketing. And I feel like I have to keep that in the back of my head of like,
Mm-hmm.
many of these people don't have this background. So like, what can I do to make sure like they understand this? But yeah, I think too, it's like you said, working with the right people and making sure it's a good fit too. So
Yeah, like we're not just giving them deliverables. We're giving them like our
right.
background, our insight, like we're helping them, we're advising them. We're not consulting, but like kind of, because they turn to us and ask us like what we think is best because they trust us.
Right.
If it's just a logo, if they just want a logo, like that's really not like that's something they could just make for themselves. If they really don't care, they can just go on even though you can't
Canva, yeah.
use Canva for logos. Yeah. Not if you're like putting it on anything. Like it's
Yeah.
not technically
Right.
yours. You don't technically own it. But like if
Right.
they really don't care, like
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you want to cut costs, like just do that, I guess, because it doesn't make that much of a difference at a certain point.
Right.
Yeah, it's a matter of like values. Yeah, like their values and what they want to prioritize, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Have you had it happen? Because I know that what I've been hearing a lot in the industry is that people are just using AI. Like they're like, I can just generate a logo with ChatGPT, and it's like, oh, please don't do that. Like it's gonna look bad, and it's not gonna look great, and it might get you by for a while, but it's not like a long-term solution.
Yeah, well, we haven't had a particular client that said that, but actually, we were at a coffee shop and I saw this woman next to us. She had a business and she was like working on the name and everything like that. And she ended up talking to us because she saw that we were designing and we like gave her a business card and just told her a little about what we did. But I noticed, like, I think she was using AI to make logos, like example logos for her
People do
business.
that.
And I was glancing over, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we went on a call with someone, and it was a discovery call,
Oh,
and she
right,
was telling
yeah.
us that she used AI to generate initial ideas that she needs to design. I think people use it now as like a starting point.
Yeah, like
If
a
they're
thought
really
starter.
serious about it, I mean, you can use it if it's something like a blog or like you're like an
Mhm.
influencer and you want to make a logo for yourself or even like a podcast or something. But if it's like a physical product or something like a physical storefront, I feel like using AI as like a jumping off point makes more sense, and then actually working with the designer. So I guess it
And-
depends on the project. Because for some
Mhm.
things, I totally get why it's not necessary to hire someone just to make the logo if it's simple
Mhm.
enough.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I definitely think there's like a time and a place
exactly.
for AI, but you can never replace that human element,
Exactly.
that like
Yeah.
connection that you would get with the brand, whether it's through logo, whether it's through messaging, it doesn't matter. Like, maybe one day AI will be good enough to do that, but I doubt it. Like, there's always going to be that like human element that you need to have if you want to connect with your audience.
Mhm.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
also feel like being designers, like you have a design eye, is what I'd call it, and you can't. I don't know if AI has that because
Definitely not.
we've actually used Mid Journey to just come up with like designs for a client project we were working on as examples, and it was taking like so long just to even like get a good prompt, and then once you get the prompt, it's not like giving you anything cute. Like it doesn't look
Yeah.
good.
You have to
Yeah.
prompt it with other pictures that
It's
we
not
find
aesthetic.
online and pull it in as like reference. So we still had to put in work to
Mhm.
To
get
get
to
it
the,
up.
and
Yeah.
the client didn't like any of them because they weren't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took hours too to
Like
come out with anything decent.
I should just do a mock up on Photoshop. Like it's
Yeah.
actually or Canva. Like it's actually faster and
Yeah.
and more aesthetic.
So right now, kind of burnout is kind of like a strong topic for everyone in any sort of creative field. So what do you do when you're feeling creatively just like in a rut, and like where do you find your inspiration for that?
I feel like taking breaks creating really helps. Like I like to exercise like 3 to 4 times a week. Like both me and my sister like go to Pilates at least twice a week. Like that just helps me reset. So I find when you step away from it, like when you're looking for inspiration is only almost when you might not find it. Like you kind of have to like go on a walk, or it's like beautiful out in Miami. Like I could go to the beach or go to the pool and go to a workout class. So just finding those self-care moments is what grounds my creativity, I would say, because it just keeps my mind like clear, and then through that you're able to, like be better at your job and show up better.
Yeah, honestly, I think just moving here to Florida has helped so much. Like I haven't been creatively burnt out in a while, because I just feel like the energy around, like especially here where we live in Miami, it's like so much energy, like so much going on. Like every time we're out doing something, like there's so much inspiration around you in the world. So even if I'm not working, like my brain is constantly taking in, like I don't have to search for it necessarily. So then when I go to work, like it's all like all that's in there already. And I think if I have a week where I'm like really busy with work and get burnt out, like the thing that fixes it is just stepping away from work and like taking a break. Okay, I'll look at this another day. Because if I'm just like constantly on work mode, like you're essentially working all the time when you're creative, because you're kind of like thinking about work when you're not at work and thinking about it.
Pop in your head at night.
It honestly helps when I go to do the work and sit down and do the work. I have all this inspiration in me already. Just
Yeah.
being out and doing things, and like just going outside, honestly going outside
Yeah.
helps. Yeah.
Honestly, one more thing to add to that is during the working process and creating, just putting on a really good playlist for me is what gets me like the flow state in the zone. Just putting on, honestly, house music is what gets me going, I would say.
I like it.
Yeah, and it helps too. There's two of us, so if we're working on a project and one of us are just nothing's hitting, like we're not coming up with anything, the other, like she might come up with something. So it works. Like if I'm in a creative block, like if she's not, like,
There's another person.
You're like, help me.
it helps a lot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
That's actually.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I was curious about your work process together. Like, is there stuff that you're just like, shit, I have no idea what to do with this logo? Like, Danielle, you being like, Sam, it's your turn, or like pass things back and forth a lot? Or do you have like very distinctive, like, you're doing the social media templates and you're doing the email template, or you're doing the, the logo and I'm doing the colors and type or something like that? Or does it kind of meld between the two of you?
Well, when we've done branding projects, we work on like separate concepts at the same time.
Oh, nice.
So because we're working on it separately, we can give the client like different versions, and it
That's
just
really smart.
yeah. So we're not really working on one thing at the same time with branding, but we will like bounce ideas off each other and be like, oh, like I'm stuck. Oh, do these colors look good?
Yeah.
Or like, what can I do with this font? Like, does this look okay? Do you think the client will like this? Just kind of like asking each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't work on the same project at like the same thing at the same time necessarily, but like if we're on like Canva or something, for instance, we can work Canva or like XD, which we work in. We can do stuff at the same time in the same document, and that's helpful too.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like splitting it up.
Yeah.
The bigger projects, we do like different concepts and then splitting up that work. And then if it's like other projects, for instance, the contract work, like we might get one project from one client, one project from another. Like we'll just one of us do one of us do the other, because it's just more efficient. And then if we have questions with each other, or we need anything, like we'll send each other the files. Just doesn't make sense like both be working on the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
because then it'd just be a lot slower and it would take longer.
We're all about working smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really great. Because I've seen people creatively be like, or when I used to work at National Jewelry Company, they definitely like passed it through like rounds of designers. Like they did have stuff that they do distinctively, but sometimes like with catalogs and different things, it would like, swap hands, and it'd be like, this page looks nothing like, like the one that somebody did looks nothing like this one. And so I feel like that would be really hard, but that's great that you give like, basically you could take in the information for the branding project and come up with like the two distinct concepts of like each of your interpretations of it, which is awesome.
It's kind of cool too, because like, I mean, Ash and I are both, solo entrepreneurs. And so like, it's kind of fun, like kind of seeing the difference of like the two of you working together on all these projects. Does it like, okay, what is the process like for like admin stuff and like bookkeeping and like communication? Like, do you have like certain skill sets that each of you are good at, or do you just kind of split it up the same way?
I feel like we split it up. Like maybe we should have distinct roles, but I feel like we both of us just kind of do everything.
Yeah, because sometimes one of us is forgetful like one week, and I'm like on top of it, and then she's on top of it, and I'm not, and like we're constantly reminding each other like, oh, like we need to write an email to this person, like follow up. So then one of us will just write it. But we do have Notion is our greatest savior. Do list. We have a content calendar. If we're doing outreach, we have like outreach and like lists of clients we're working with, like in different pages, and like notes. That's really calls, nice. And everything's in one place, so we can access it. Both of us can access it, and we know where it is. So that really helped.
So we'll go through the to-do list like during the like if Danielle's like designing something and I have extra time and we have in our to-do list like email this client back, ask questions about the edits they gave back. Okay, then I'll say, okay, Danielle, I'll just do this now. Will you do that?
That's really smart.
And then we just kind of like check things off.
So. Sounds like you work really well together.
Yeah, it works.
I feel like, sometimes maybe not, but we're sisters. That's the tricky part. It's like you're hard. Business partners, but you're also sisters, so you fight like sisters.
Oh, it's hard.
That's fair. I don't know that I would be. I've done like projects with my sister before. I don't know that I would be in a full-fledged, full-time business with her though. And you live together too, right?
Yeah, we're trying to like do more separate things socially, so we're like tonight. It's honestly been hard. Yeah,
both of us are like recently single too, so like that's so now we're like it's been like this process of like how do we navigate living together, where before like I would have a boyfriend or she would have a boyfriend. It's like you're gonna be away from your twin in that situation, but then we move here together, we live together, we've made like pretty much all the same friends, and we pretty much like all the same people, I would say. So now that we have enough friends, like it's been a year living in Miami, like we have enough friends where like I could do something without Samantha and Samantha could do something. Like tonight we purposely plan different things to do.
I love that.
we have to like put in that extra, like we can't just do everything together. Like business work too. It doesn't help the business.
It does not.
It does not. It doesn't help anyone.
Healthy amounts of separation are good for siblings, for married partners, for
any relationship. It's good to have that. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys work so well together. You seem like, even though I'm sure you have your days, you seem like you work really well together, and I think that's really cool. I don't actually know that many people who have like business partnerships like that like work so seamlessly together. So it's kind of cool to see that.
It would be nice to like in the future have like more people working with us. Definitely. Like we both talked about like wanting to like hire people at some point and just have like a smaller team of people. That would be fun to like have coworkers,
even friends. We could hire friends.
We have a lot of friends like who are creatives,
like copywriters,
social media manager. So we're
that's awesome.
Thinking about that at some not in the near future, but
plan for it down the line for sure.
We're both hard workers, and we both have the like believe in the vision, and either one of us is like dragging the other one's feet to like do stuff, because we both like, know that if we don't want to go back to corporate, neither one of us.
Yeah.
So it's like this or nothing. So we both recognize that, and we're both all in. So that helps.
It's hard when one person's like out the door, like this isn't working for me, but thankfully like we're both like very passionate about it, and we both have like that hunger, I guess, to succeed. So that definitely helps the business as a whole, because if there's a mismatch, like that could be an issue for sure.
Well, I think that's the true test of like, are you really an entrepreneur or not? And that's like, I can never go back to the corporate world, or I can never go back to a real job job after this. Like, I think once you've established that, you're like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Which
would be failure for me.
I know. It's not enough.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever. I don't know. I hope to never have to make that decision point. But yeah, I don't think I would ever. I would rather like have this going really low level and like
start something else.
Start something else. Yeah, figure out something else as well. So
my backup plan will be a bookshop / bar.
Ooh, I like that idea. There was a place in
that's my dream
with smut on vegetables. Would that be?
Have signature drinks. Veggie tail drinks.
You would have interesting books.
Like cucumber flavored vodka drinks with like little cherry tomatoes like on top.
Named after the books or like the characters.
That's actually a really good idea.
It's a good idea.
Okay, if I ever do this, I'll hire you two to help me with the branding.
Maybe like once a month you could have like a theme night, and the bar is like decorated like a book.
I think for hosting book clubs, like a bar that's like a place people go to host book clubs, and it's like book themed.
Nice.
I love this.
New York. There's a place in New York. It's called. I never went in, but I always walk past it. I think it was called Book Club Bar.
Oh,
I went there. Yeah, I went there. It's really fun.
I believe it was a bookstore, and it was also a wine bar.
Mm-hmm.
I never went in because I was not into books at the time.
Yeah.
My sister works really close to that place, and so when I went to go visit her, we popped in. We weren't there for very long because it was really hot that day, and there was no AC in the building, and it was like really crowded. So we just kind of like popped around and looked around, but it was really fun. It was really cute. We need more of those around the country.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
That'll be my backup plan, and I will recruit you two for branding if I ever decide to do that.
That sounds so cool.
I just need some capital because I don't have the funds for that.
Not yet.
Not right now. Not yet. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
I feel like we keep getting off topic on books.
Just keep going back to it.
Ashlan, this has been a theme though, because it's been like the last few episodes, like guest episodes that we've had, like you and I, we just keep talking about
we just go back to it.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. You know, I kind of just want to go back to branding for a second. Sorry if I stole your question, Ashlan, but what are some signs that a business owner, you know, we talked about kind of like your brand evolves with you. And I think that's like a really good thing to remember as any business, not just like a marketing or branding business, but like as you evolve, your brand is going to evolve with you. So like, what are some signs, I guess, that you would tell a business owner that their brand is no longer working for them?
That's a good question. Maybe if like their audience changed, like they noticed like when they started that they had different type of person wanting to buy their products, or they were targeting a different group of people. And then I know now, like online, especially like if you're on social media, a lot of those people will most likely be younger, but now there's even like boomers and stuff like getting on TikTok and Instagram. So it's like your audience can be evolving too, like as digitally, like more people are using social media. So yeah, if your audience is changing, that's important to think, okay, like should our not just like branding in terms of visuals, but I mean like your brand voice and like trying to target and just like the brand like personality as a whole. I know there's like we made videos where we talk about like brands that rebranded, and it's interesting to see, especially in like the CPG space and like the food space, brands that we used to go to like the grocery store and buy like look completely different now. So they're kind of like evolving with the trends. So I guess if your brand's like outdated and like it looks
Yeah.
like something that was on the shelves like 10 years ago and it doesn't really stand out anymore, that's another reason. If you're like a product on the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think there's so much competition nowadays. Like, I feel like a lot of brands, especially in Whole Foods, for example, are just branded so nicely that if your
Yeah.
brand like doesn't look good, like I don't know if people are gonna buy it necessarily unless there's like a cult following or gonna buy it necessarily unless there's like a cult following. Like recently a lot more minimal, I would say. And minimal and bold at the same time because the type just like more minimal and bold at the same time because the type it looks like it fits that they wanted to evolve their brand with the times.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you work with like a lot of food brands and stuff, do you ever find yourself like going into the grocery store and like looking at where that product or something would sit to get inspiration?
Oh yeah, for sure. Every time, look, we don't have a Whole Foods near us now, but it's opening up this summer. Thank
Oh,
God.
nice.
I just love going to that store and like looking at all the packaging and the different products. Yeah, so honestly, going to the grocery store is inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an advice that I gave an emerging food brand in Portland. And I was like, think about where your item is going to be in the grocery store and then like go look at what else is there. Yeah, you're going to want to stand out on the shelf.
Exactly. And if you're not like in stores standing out online.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Look like everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that same concept, like applies to not just products, but like services too. Like, you have to figure out who you are. This is a conversation I had recently of like, if you don't know who you are as, your personality, your brand, then you're not going to be able to communicate that, whether it's through visuals, through your messaging. Like you really have to like look inside yourself and be like, this is what I stand for. These are my values. This is how I want people to feel when they interact with me. And until you know that, like you can have a really pretty logo, you can have a pretty website, you can make content, but like, if you don't know, that's the foundation, that's the starting point, and then that's how you can create that strategy to really reach your customers. So yeah, it's interesting. Branding's fun. Fun conversation.
All marketing, all that. I love all that. It's just so interesting to see how it changes over time, like how now video is like such a big thing. Like some brands don't even need like to have so much like designed templates or on their social media. Right. They don't. All they just need is like good videos that are engaging and high quality.
UGC,
even like UGC showing the product. Like I know I do follow like brands that were made by people like our age, like food brands, and it's just interesting to see how much of themselves they put into their social media, like constantly talking story, like showing their faces, like who they are, why they started it, and that's what gets you to buy it.
Yeah. Because that's what you remember. That's what you remember when you're looking.
To look good too. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten into the stores. Like that's like the first step to get in, and then once you're in, you still have to try to stand out.
Yeah.
You can't even get into the stores maybe rebrand would be a good thing.
That's fair.
Yeah, just like position yourself. Because if you have branding that's really stands out, then people are gonna think like, oh, like this brand is different from other sauce brands on the shelf. Like you just have to, if you stand out, like that could make someone buy your brand versus not buying like the generic looking. I don't know if you know Goodles. It's just like
Yeah.
these. Like I
Those
only,
are good. I love those.
I only bought it because of the branding, and then I actually love the product now.
Nice.
And the product's good, yeah.
It's really good, but that's what got me in the door. I know not everyone's a designer though, and is that obsessed with things looking nice, but
Yeah.
I mean, I used to always say that that's how I used to choose wine bottles, was like complete, like before I knew more about wines, and I'm like, that's a cool label. I will, and the right price. I will drink that. Sort of thing.
I still know nothing about wine, and I do pick it
Yeah.
based on how pretty the bottle is.
It makes
really
you
does.
want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It
really
makes you
does.
something on the shelf.
Yeah.
Made this.
Yeah. You're like, how much work did you put in that? Well, then how much work did you actually put in the product, you know?
Mhm.
It gets you to at least buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to be a returning customer, but it gives them a
Yeah.
new customer if it looks good. Most
Yeah.
likely.
First impressions, right?
Mhm.
Awesome.
Exactly. Well, sorry, Ashlan. did
No,
I
you
cut
go
off?
ahead. No. That's what I was gonna do.
Well, we are getting close to the end here, so I'm going to ask you a question, and then I want to see if you have anything you want to plug before we wrap up here. But one thing I always ask at the end of each episode with our guests, because we're creating a playlist for this, what song or album has been on repeat in your household lately?
Honestly, well, we're both going
Rufus
to see
the Soul.
Rufus the Soul tomorrow
Yeah.
night.
Oh my
So,
god,
like,
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, they just
it's
released.
amazing.
They just released remixes. They just released an album today of remixes to their new album. So I was listening.
Okay, I'll have
Yeah.
to get that on Apple Music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you listened
Same.
to their Joshua Tree, like their like long Joshua Tree set that they did? It has a really cool YouTube video, but it's like a bunch. I can't remember what album it is, but he like literally like plays it in Joshua Tree with like these blinking, flashing lights. I'll send it to you guys. I think if you like Rufus du Sol, you'll enjoy it. But that has been like a good background creative music for me because it just like rolls into the next song as well.
It was so good live. We went when we were living in Charlotte. We went, and it was so good. And then we found out they're coming to Miami. We got pit tickets. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I want to be in the front.
Because it's just general admission concert, and then the
So-
pit's in the front. I don't know how many people are in the front, but I'm assuming it'd be a lot less because it's like a sectioned off part, and then everyone else is.
If you ever get
That's really awesome.
you have to go because it's a life changing, like a spiritual experience. Like I'm not
Agreed.
I really want to see them like in an outdoor like festival place
Yeah.
because
That would be
they
really
they keep playing like in casinos here, but they're like I think their
up.
tickets were like $120 each, and then because I'm in Vegas, like, and then you have to like dress up for the concert, and I was like, I don't really want to dress up like fancy. I just want to be able to like dance around and be comfy. So yeah.
Seeing them outside.
Bayfront Park. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So-
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely add that to our playlist for sure.
Please.
Well, thank you so much for being on today. Before we wrap up here, is there anything you want our audience to know? Also, let us know how they can find you and reach out to you if they want to work with you.
Yeah, I guess just our Instagram, Aperitif Collective.
And our TikTok as well is the same name.
Yeah, we post fun content on there, and it's the same on our website too. I don't know if I should spell it out.
Go for it.
Maybe just in case.
It's APERITIF Collective.
Yes, the same on Instagram and TikTok. We post a lot of content about our work, but also just to like help business owners, like understanding branding. We post like branding and marketing news and stuff that we come across that we liked. And we also recently updated our website. If you want to check out our work, we added a few more projects. That's aperitifcollective.com.
Perfect. That's awesome. And I will vouch for you. I love all the content you post. So you guys do a great job. Well, thank you so much for being on. It was so good to catch up with you. Congrats again on 1 year in business. And maybe we'll have to check in with you again for year 2.
Yeah, and let's make this an annual.
Yeah, an annual.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. And in the show notes, we will also have links for everything as well. So feel free to go there to check it out. And until next time, thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast.